Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm very excited for the amazing conversation that we are going to have today because I want to talk to you about a very important and powerful idea. And that's this belief we've been conditioned into, this belief we've been taught by the world that success has to be a hustle, that success has to be a grind and something you struggle for and work hard towards. And while it's true, while it makes sense in some extents, I actually want to digress from this today a bit. And I want to share an alternative perspective with you. Because in working with hundreds of people by now, in understanding the science of success and how it happens, I've understood that while hustle makes sense, while hustle is a great attribute, a great quality to look up to, it often comes with a darker, sinister side we don't pay much attention to. And if we can do that, if we can learn from that, if we can understand what it is and then use it to our benefit rather than to the same insecure way that hustle is usually portrayed, we can actually achieve a lot more success a lot more effortlessly. And for that, now before I introduce you to that, I want to talk to you about the process that brought me here because I love to look at human behavior. I love to look at our lives like a scientist looks at a problem in a tinkering kind of way. When I look at one lens, then I look at the other, and then I'll hypothesize about the third. And then from this whole combination, right, of trying out different lenses, of trying to understand the same thing from different angles, whole new realities, whole new connections, and whole new possibilities emerge. So essentially, what I'm saying is, like, I have a book here with me. By the way, I read this one recently. It's an incredible book. And so, for example, when we're taught about reading a book, what we're usually taught is you open it up from the cover and then you read it page by page by page. Logical, makes sense. This is not a place where you need to innovate. But the problem that happens is in our lives, we take suggestions, we take ideas, we take inputs from other people as doctrines on how to live our lives. And that's the biggest mistake we make, that we don't question, we don't ask, we don't reflect. And then we wonder, why does my life not feel like mine? Well, no wonder it doesn't feel like yours, because rather than questioning the doctrines, you continue to just believe in them as if they're the only truth, as if the only way to ever read a book is front to back. But the approach I like to take about solving problems that we go through is simple. What if I read the book from the back to the front? Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. Or maybe it unlocks a whole new experience. Or what if, rather than just reading it front to back, I open a random chapter, I read that first, then I jump to another one that feels like fancy to me, and then I go through that. And so, like, essentially, what I'm saying is don't read in this haphazard way. But when it comes to ideas and beliefs in our lives, if we can question them in this way, and if we can ask ourselves, is this really the only way things can get done? Is this really the only way we can look at life or success or love or relationships or just any factor of our lives? When we get down to the core through questioning, that's when the shift happens. So, this whole idea that success has to be a hustle, when I questioned it, when I went deeper into it, when I learned about it and researched it, I uncovered something very fascinating. And there's a lot of researchers who have talked about this. There's a lot of incredible people who have mentioned this in their work. And the core understanding of it is simple. Hustle culture is great at creating outputs, but it is very, very poor at managing inputs. Let me tell you what I mean. So, for example, let's say there are two ways of getting somewhere, okay? Let's say here at point A, you're here at point B. There's a tunnel that goes straight through the mountain, so you can go from point A to point B much faster. Or the other way is there's a whole mountain on top that you have to climb and then descend to get to the other side, that is point B. In our universe, in our lifetimes, what gets glorified and what gets talked about is not when someone takes the tunnel. It's when someone takes the hard path and they walk on top of the mountain, and eventually, after so much struggle, they create the result they want. Now, that's a good thing. That's an admirable quality. My question is, do we want to do that all the time? And the answer, of course, is no. See, the mistake we make is we confuse the side effect, the barrier, the challenge of struggle with the attribute and quality of hard work. We assume hard work and sincerity cannot exist without challenges and struggles that we call hustle. But again, that is just not true. That's like saying, okay, you read a book front to back, but we're asking ourselves, can we look at hustle culture? Can we look at success itself from a whole new angle? And when we do, the truth that emerges is the reason hustle culture gets glorified so much, the reason it gets talked about so much, the reason it becomes problematic is because when someone takes the tunnel, they're not glorified. But when someone climbs the mountain and then comes down, oh, they are glorified so much more. And that's why we choose the path of hustle. It's to prove to the world that we have done enough work, we have sweated enough to deserve the result that we are demanding. It's to prove to the world that, you know what? See, I worked for this. See, I earned this. You cannot take this away from me. And all these different ideas. And if you think about it, you've seen some successful people really talk about this as well. That I gave my blood, sweat, and tears for this. Well, we are glad you did, and it requires that commitment sometime. No doubt about it. But the place it is coming from is very, very important because 90% of hustle culture is just glorified insecurity wearing the cover of success. I'm going to repeat that again. 90% of hustle culture is just glorified insecurity wearing the cover of success. It's not success. Real success is measured by a simple thing. Have you achieved your goal and have you done that in a way that fulfills you? Simple enough. If the way that fulfills you is climbing the mountain and struggling, so be it. Go for it. Do that. There's nothing wrong with doing that work. But don't do it for the sake of being validated. Don't do it for the sake of getting that appreciation. Don't do it for the sake of proving to the world, see how hard I'm working, see how much I'm hustling, see how much I'm doing to build my dream. Because in our world where we equate effort with deservedness, we think if I haven't burnt enough, I don't deserve the result. Well, if that were the case, today, to eat food, to deserve food, our hands would need to be charred. Every single time we're on the we are near the stove, we are cooking something, or someone else is cooking something for us, we should say, why use a utensil? That's the easy way. Take your hand, cook it directly on that. Nobody ever does that, right? Nobody ever put their hands in the fire just for the sake of proving a point. Just like that, you don't have to burn yourself out for the sake of success. You can give yourself permission to explore opportunities that feel effortless. You can give yourself permission to look at alternate realities that allow you to take a simpler way forward. Now, does that mean you have to get lazy and not work hard? No, not at all. But what that also means is you don't have to unnecessarily manifest struggle and challenges and problems in your life just for the sake of proving that you deserve the success that you're aiming at. So, deep down, this whole need for proving and this whole pattern of showing the world how much you deserve the success you're getting, it essentially just comes from this core idea that I'm not worthy and I don't deserve the life I'm getting. And although people may seem confident on the outside, you'll be surprised to know how many high achievers feel that they don't deserve the success they have. I used to feel the same, by the way. I've changed it now. Now I don't. Now I own it. Now I feel proud of it. Now I go for it with full confidence. And I help people do the same as well. But it's surprising how much we put ourselves down. How much we say, I've not done enough yet, I need to do more. I've not done enough yet, I need to do more. I've not done enough yet, I need to do more. I've not done enough yet, I need to do more. I've not done enough yet, I need to do more. And just like that, in a high achiever's brain, that's what goes on. And so then two things happen. Okay, this is very interesting. Success feels like more effort, more pressure, more work, more uncertainty, more thoughts, more overthinking. And we don't want that. So we sabotage the success. But then We judge ourselves for not having enough success. So we push ourselves to work even harder into the very direction that's creating the unfulfillment and the barrier. And then at the end, we're exhausted, burnt out, and not even successful because we haven't reached our goals. Are you seeing how the whole cycle is pulling you down? So if you're ready to break it, if you're ready to say and declare today that you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to feel worthy the way I am. I'm going to feel powerful the way I am. Even if I'm on the streets, I'm going to feel good about myself. I know this sounds like a very crazy attitude, but truly understand this. When you have this, you have humility. Because then you can say, okay, well, I'm doing fine enough. What can I do to begin again? Even after a failure, you don't feel hit. And even after a success, you don't rise too high. You stay grounded, you stay connected because you know the path is there. The path is what you need to be grateful for. The effortlessness that has come your way is the magic in your life. And you need to keep showing up to maintain it. Do you need to burn yourself out for it? No. Do you need to have that whole struggle story and have that whole thing of, I had to overcome these great barriers and that's why manifest those unnecessary barriers in your life? Not at all. If the situation demands you to work hard, work hard. If the situation gives you an easy way, take the easy way. If it aligns with your goals, if it aligns with your values, if it aligns with your purpose and every other thing that makes you a human who wants to succeed in their lives, if that alignment exists, take the option that makes sense. And if that alignment doesn't exist and it truly requires you to work hard, then please, by all means, work hard, because the truth is, everywhere the tunnel may not exist. But my simple saying is, don't avoid the tunnel just because you want to prove to the world you deserve the success. I hope this dichotomy is getting clearer now, because success, as I said, really doesn't have to be a hustle. So, what happens when you implement this idea in your life? Well, the very first thing that happens is you get really, really honest about your efforts, your direction, and your focus in life. You see, most business owners, most high achievers, most people chasing their goals are wasting their time. They're like that dog chasing its own tail. They're going to run round and round and round and round and round, but never catch the tail and never ever progress further. Why? Because they've made struggle their identity. They've decided things that make my life better and easier, things that take my business to the next level, things that take my goals to the next level. I don't want that. Give me the struggle. That's what their subconscious is saying. So that's what they attract. That's what they pull in. So if you are someone who's feeling this burnout, if you're someone who's feeling that no matter what I do, I'm always stressed, I'm always stretched, I'm always with more things to do than I can handle, and my life's going out of my hands, ask yourself, where may I be unconsciously manifesting struggle? And let go of that. Declare, you know what, with or without struggle, I'm going to be worthy. And then really do an honest analysis of the places where your time and effort are currently going. When you do that, make a simple list. Actions that move the needle towards my goals, actions I'm taking to prove I deserve my goals. Make that list. Truly be honest when you're doing this, by the way. This whole thing depends on your honesty. And then everything you are doing to prove that you deserve your goals, drop those acts. They are not the necessary ones. Only focus on the things that are moving the needle. Can it happen in the future for some reason that the things that are on the proving list become the things that are going to move the needle forward? Of course it can, but then do it. Don't shy away from it. Don't say, oh no, earlier I didn't do it. Now I should do it. No. If it's important, do it. Do it from the intention of adding value, from the intention of growth, not from the intention of proving, and your life will be sorted. So make these two lists of all your actions, do an audit, bring the awareness in, and make the necessary changes. And before you know it, rather than chasing success, success is going to come and chase you, because finally you stopped being desperate for it. Finally, you stopped hustling for it and you allowed the effortless magic of life to take over. I hope this message helps you. I hope today's given you more clarity that you can choose better. You don't always have to struggle. Make those lists, take those actions, and just see how magical and effortless life becomes when you finally stop the race of proving yourself and just accept that you deserve every single thing that you want in this world. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you once again tomorrow at the same time, that is 8:30 p.m. IST. Bye. See you soon.